Good morning. Welcome to Business Equity and Opportunities. I'm Scott Sander. As part of Circle City Broadcasting's Focus on Community pledge, this show speaks directly to entrepreneurs and small business owners to help educate and inform and provide necessary information to develop skills you'll need to start and then grow a successful business. We're not like any other show in our community. Here, the information comes from successful business owners and community leaders who actually live, work, and have vested interests in this community. And we take our cameras to them. Our goal is to provide useful and compelling content that can inspire confidence and build on the community of stakeholders working together to secure prosperity throughout the state. The show's 7 segments are designed to cover the important topics you'll face when starting a small business, including getting started and accessing capital, upcoming local and national business events, networking opportunities, help to navigate the accounting and bookkeeping issues that you'll face, and general information about running your business. Plus, we look at individual and industry successes. So, coming up today on Business Equity and Opportunities, we meet the Certified MBE Vendor of the Month. The city of Westfield has a new opportunity for a local artist. Meet a Hoosier who turned a simple idea into a nationwide business success. An Italy-based motorsports school is coming to Indianapolis, and a young beauty entrepreneur's personal journey is blazing trails. Today's Getting Started introduces you to this month's Certified MBE Vendor of the Month in Indianapolis, Veris Engineering. It's a family-owned and operated civil engineering consulting firm founded back in 1980.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Getting Started.
I'm Sanjay Patel, president of VS Engineering. VS Engineering is a civil engineering firm headquartered on the west side of Indianapolis. We're proud to celebrate 45 years of being in business located here on the west side of Indianapolis. We've been very fortunate. My father, B.C. Patel, founded the firm out of the basement of our home. And after about a year and a half of that, he decided to move to the west side of Indianapolis. He still lives in the same home that he and mom purchased in 1971, which is 1.25 miles from the office. So his commute to work has been very short over the years. And we established the west side location here. And in 1990, we expanded behind the original building he purchased, and we've continued to grow in the same location. So we love the west side, the support in the international marketplace. And as we've grown throughout the years, we've expanded to offices in Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky. With civil engineering, most of our clients are municipalities and DOTs, cities, towns, counties. So we touch your roads, your sewers, your bridges. So the things we design and provide construction inspection for are really what the public uses on a daily basis. So I'll date back a little bit, but we can go as far back as Circle Center Mall, Lucas Oil Stadium. The big one today is the IU Health Campus, and VS Engineering is the prime consultant for all the civil engineering and landscape architecture. So what you see coming out of the ground on that curve, when what you'll see outside of the buildings will be associated with VS Engineering. What I've learned throughout the years, and I've been here since 1996, is that you continue to serve the people, your employees and your clients, and keep it as a family business. Even though we're 180 people in 3 states today, we still function as a family company, and those values are important that we instill within ourselves, within our staff, and also portray those to the communities we work in. The MBE, WBE program for the city of Indianapolis and in municipalities across the state has truly assisted us and helped us grow to where we are. Those opportunities to, at a younger age, we had the opportunity to partner with larger firms. And we've proven our abilities and our technical staff to deliver projects. And throughout that, we continue to grow, which in turn allowed us to become a prime consultant. And today, we partner with smaller, younger, diverse firms to encourage their growth and provide that mentorship to help them achieve what we have over the years. It's important that we give back, right, to the smaller firms and newer firms that we work with. And the more firms you have locally, the more staff you have locally. And many times those are Indiana-born and educated engineers and technicians that we're able to keep in our state. And Workforce retention is very important for Indiana, and we have great colleges across Indiana with Purdue and IU and many other universities, and we want to keep that talent here and reduce that brain drain that goes to other states. So it's important, the more opportunities young engineers have coming out of college, the better for our state overall. What really keeps me driven is being able to provide the opportunity for our staff. And opportunity for our staff means giving back in the communities we live and work. And I know my staff, they take a lot of pride when they can drive down High School Road or go around 465 and say, I was part of that project. And being able to physically see that is really important. Yesterday I was able to attend the groundbreaking of the Purdue ASB, the Academic Success Building. Well, our firm is doing all the site design. So what you see outside of the building is designed by VS Engineering. And as a Purdue grad, it makes me very proud. And we have a lot of Purdue grads here. And to be able to watch that building come out of the ground and be a cornerstone for the downtown landscape is going to be incredible.
Coming up, we travel to Westfield to find a unique and innovative opportunity for local artists to be part of a new rolling canvas art installation. That's next on Access to Capital. Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. City of Westfield announced last week that it's seeking artists to provide original digital artwork for a new rolling canvas art installation. The Director of Communications, Kayla Arnold, fills us in.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Access to Capital.
So my name is Claire Jelinek. I'm the Economic Development Strategist for the City of Westfield's Economic Development team. And right now we're standing in Grand Junction Plaza in our downtown. This is just a really great location for us to do a lot of programming for our community. We do farmers markets here. We do jams at the junction here. So it's just a really great gathering green space for our community members. It's also easily located right next to Park Street, which we have really good restaurants on that street and retail. So it's just a really activated place for our community. There is a ton of construction going on. We have Union Square parking garage just right across the street. We have a lot of fun things going on Park Street. We're working on a plan for our downtown for the future because we want to make sure that we're creating a cohesive space where we're inviting people to stay in our downtown and encouraging more restaurant and retailers to operate here. Our economic development team released an RFP to find local artists to design the exterior of a Indigo decommissioned bus. This is in partnership with Pattern Inc. because we really felt like they probably know what's best as this huge billboard we're going to bring to our community, and we want to make sure we're creating those local partnerships too. So it'll be parked in Grand Junction Plaza for 1 year, and we're working with Pattern to find a retailer to operate out of the space so it will serve as a pop-up shop opportunity. This really gives entrepreneurs the opportunity to test our local market. And then our team is hopeful that as they continue to grow their business, we can find them a permanent location in the community. Really, this pop-up shop is what we're really leaning into because as you can see, we're kind of constrained with a lot of the construction going on. And so we want to create these fruitful opportunities for people to not necessarily like eliminate the barrier to operate, but just allow them to test the market and help alleviate some of those pains of rent. I mean, rent is very expensive right now, and we're seeing a lot of activity obviously on State Road 32 with major retailers, but we want to make sure that we're creating a space for local too. I would say in a positive light. I mean, I know that there are growing pains obviously, but we're really trying to find activations and opportunities to bring people to our downtown to support our local economy. And that's kind of the why we do what we do. And I know that this turnaround program, is really quick. We asked artists to submit something within 2 weeks' time. And it's because we want to get it rolling. We want to get it out in the community before our farmers markets start launching. And so we want to get it visible, so that way the retailer that's operating in the pop-up shop is successful. My position is really great in that I get to sell Westfield to outside businesses, honestly.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. Here's a look at what's happening this week in business.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. This week in business.
Kudos to the Indianapolis Black Chamber for hosting this town hall. They've brought together a group of speakers to discuss just opportunities going forward today. We see there's so much activity here in our region. So much wealth has been created. Our region is going to grow tenfold in the next 10 years. And the conversation is just around how do we ensure that Black businesses are growing with opportunities in our region, have access to those opportunities, and there's actually a plan in place to help businesses grow and thrive as the city grows. The event is going to be on April 17th at Martin University from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. A wonderful panel, Pastor Green, Pastor Gurdon, Marshawn Worley, Anita Williams from the Indiana Black Chamber, Soraya Van Horn is actually moderating the panel. So we just ask for people to come, show up, be there in person. It's a dialogue, right? We want to host this kind of events and want to be a part of this kind of events where people can come, ask questions, can learn from each other. But really, that's the best way to get the best ideas, when you just have an open forum and allow people to come discuss opportunities. We don't want to spend a lot of time on a lot of the problems, because we all know the problems. We know the issues in our city, we know what needs to be fixed, but a lot of times we don't have innovative approaches, true sustainable approaches on how we solve some of these problems. So this gathering is all around doing just that. What are some great ideas? What are some doable things that we can do together to start moving the needle on how we build thriving businesses? So we just have to look at the status quo today. And the status quo in Indianapolis, a growing city, is this. Black businesses make up 3% of employer businesses in our city. So let me say that again. That means 3 out of every 100 employer businesses in our city that actually employ people are Black. That's just something that we all know, everybody knows is unacceptable, that our city will not reach its potential if that number remains the same. And that number has been that way for so long. So how do we improve that? How do we set goals around where we want to be in 5 years? So that's kind of what we want to talk about and focus on. Here's the status quo. Now, how do we move the needle? And the only reason we can do that is because there's so much opportunity in our region today. Collaboration is used so loosely. People talk about collaboration, but actual collaboration and then measuring the impact of collaboration is the hardest thing to do. Getting people to come together around a common goal that's bigger than themselves, it's the hardest thing to do. That's why it just doesn't happen. But it has to happen. So in under-resourced communities, you have to collaborate. You have to come together, you have to work together, right? And that's what we have to explore and figure out. How do we do this together, right? How do we share resources? How do we have a shared vision and a destination? How do we have shared metrics to measure that? Those are all the things we have to figure out. When you have a community or a region that has opportunity, right? People wake up every day and life is so much easier when you are pursuing opportunity, right? So when you identify opportunity like we have in our region, we have to figure out how do we create access, right? Identify the opportunities, create access. To do that, we have to understand the intricacies of communities. Like what's going on here? What are the assets already available? So that way you're not duplicating efforts. Once you identify the available assets, where are the gaps? How come so many people are not leveraging these assets? So to do that, you have to do that with community members. You can't do it to them. So you have to roll up your sleeves, go in communities, sit down with people, right? All the way to the granular, right? To neighborhoods, CDCs in neighborhoods, churches, to really understand what's going on here and how do we work together to help fix this? What ideas do you have, right? So doing that and normalizing that behavior is what we want to do. And the Black Chamber does that really, really well. Organizing this town hall, bringing people together. There'll be hundreds of people there, and really looking forward to it, right? This kind of dialogue is really why we all live in this country, right? Because we can get a chance to bring people together. We may not agree, right? We may not agree with each other. We may not agree with each other's ideas, but there's a mutual respect for each other as human beings, as people, that, hey, I'll listen to what you have to say, and I know that you have the right to say what you have to say. I may not agree with it, but I respect the fact that you have a right to do that. And we have to normalize this kind of environment.
After the break, Courtney Kincaid shares more accounting and bookkeeping tips, both for entrepreneurs and small business owners. That's coming up next.
This Week in Business is made possible by Indy Biz Pass. This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome back to Business, Equity, and Opportunities. April 15th is a big tax deadline, both for individuals and some small business proprietors. Courtney Kincaid shows us how to stay in the know.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Accounting and bookkeeping.
It's April, so I would like to talk to you about financial literacy. I know that the viewers of this show typically are small business owners and entrepreneurs, so I'm not going to spend time wasted on individual financial literacy, but I would like to talk about business financial literacy. CPAs, obviously, who I represent and work with, have a lot to do with increasing the financial literacy of clients here in Indiana. And when we talk about financial literacy from an organizational standpoint, we really start to talk about understanding your business and how it operates from the perspective of a couple of different considerations. I've talked before about the business's financials, their balance sheet, and there are several parts of the balance sheet. And I know for some small business owners who are not, they don't speak the language of business, then it can be really difficult to understand what's the difference between this balance sheet and income statement, for example, right? What's the difference between assets and what's the difference between assets versus revenue? And how do I look at those differently and how are they reconciled? And the truth is regardless of where you're operating, if you're running a business, you need to be financially literate if you're going to be successful, which is where a CPA comes in. And so, first of all, I would just recommend if you're a small business and you're not working with a CPA, work with a CPA, right? And so how do I find one, or how do I find one that fits my needs? Interviewing potential CPAs is definitely something that you should be considering. What are your needs, and are they going to be able to fill those needs? So thinking about asking them, where are your weaknesses? Like, can you explain to me what is the difference between a balance sheet and a financial statement? How should I be thinking about my assets versus what does revenue look like? And then, there's a whole nother set underneath that of language that is really helpful. Understanding your debt ratio, understanding your credit rating, and understanding the different parts that go into that can make significant differences in your ability in the future to get funding, whether that's from investors or if it's a classic loan. Understanding what your return on investment is really something that you should understand, right? Additionally, just understanding your cash flow. A lot of small businesses have calendar-based ebbs and flows, And so making sure that you do really well in the summer to support when you might not be doing so well and cash flow wise in the winter, and how that flows and how that might affect when you need to do some lending and borrowing is all stuff that a CPA can help you with. We say that CPAs speak the language of business, which is really great when we're talking about financial literacy because it really meshes well together, right? The fact is that a lot of individuals are financially illiterate in understanding, and it's not something that we're taught in school. And so you can be really great at whatever vertical that you're in, but if you don't have that other component, it's going to be really challenging no matter what. There are a lot of different ways that your relationship could be formed with a CPA, right? So some are more fully embedded, even though they're not a full-time staff, or you might hire a fractional CFO who is more embedded, who is there for a couple of days each week versus 5 days. But in the end, regardless of what that looks like, a good CPA is a trusted business advisor, right? They are the financially literate component. And so even if you have challenges there, a good CFO will be able to help you understand the decisions that you're making and explain them in what we refer to as plain English, right? Because when you get into it, sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, what are these people around the table talking about? I'm not sure. They're your translator. So making sure they're in important meetings with you, making sure they're reviewing important documents, making sure that they're involved on the front end is really, really helpful, especially as you're a small or starting out, to make sure that you have everything set up properly to reap all the benefits. Having a CPA help you determine what systems you need, and whether that's from payroll, whether that's accounts receivable, having systems that talk to each other, that they understand your needs as a business and the capabilities of certain technologies, they're a great resource for that technology component in managing the finances, which is much like we talk about cybersecurity or business advisory services. It is not something that necessarily comes to mind immediately when people think about what their CPA can do for them. But in that trusted advisor role, it really is a holistic view of your financial picture.
Meet an IU Kelley School of Business grad who went on to make a name for himself in the world of fashion. His story is coming up next.
When severe weather hit, WISH-TV meteorologists were your source for the most reliable forecast to keep you safe.
A tornado is tracking just south of Columbus.
All severe weather modes in play here.
Because when lightning strikes and tornadoes touch down, you don't just need forecasts, you need answers.
It's a massive storm system.
It doesn't take very long for this to happen.
Watch the Storm Track 8 weather team here on WISH-TV. This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
A native Hoosier and IU Kelley School of Business graduate Richard Hall co-founded Hall-Madden, utilizing a unique business plan and $500. Now he owns 10 locations across the United States.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Running your business day to day.
I'm a born and raised from Indianapolis and went to Park Tudor High School, and then I was a direct admit down at the Kelley School, so I studied finance and entrepreneurship. Basically, while I was studying, lots of my friends went into investment banking, and I sort of liked the idea of, at the time I was reading a lot of case studies about China and sort of the import-export business, and that's kind of what I was interested in. And then especially when, we hit the recession around 2008, that's where I basically, did my study abroad. I had my study abroad through a sister program in Hong Kong. And then I actually had another program in Shanghai, and that's actually where I got a job. So straight out of Kelly School, I basically lived and worked in China for 4 years. When I first started working there, I worked in a trade office. So we were dealing a little bit with like construction materials. I just needed a job, right? So I kind of worked in an export office. I got a little taste in like some uniform business and some clothing business. And it was a passion of mine as well. And so then I was able to sort of start that a little bit on the side and just selling to friends and family and then moving from there. But yeah, the good old Kelly School. What really kind of put off the light bulb was when we started selling this back in the United States, and we got enough interest. We went through enough iterations on the product where, it's all about iterating and improving when you first start a business. If you look at our Generation 1 suits, we've come a long way, as terms of the construction and the shoulder pads and all of that. I would say the light bulb really came on when we were actually getting a little bit of traction. We both decided we didn't sort of want to be in China anymore, and we could actually create a business out of this. So that came, I would say, about 2 years after we initially started it out in China. Essentially what we do is we sell customs. We're famous for our custom suits. From there, we've branched into the casual wear, like what Jaime's wearing behind me, sort of like a safari coat, knitwear, and various products. If you're a client, a prospective client, whether you're a business or weddings and events, you come in for the initial fitting and you typically meet with a showroom expert in one of our nationwide showrooms. It's about an hour-long process. We fit you, we walk you through the process. You come back in for your second fitting once the garment's made, and then we may do some small tweaks. So it's basically a 3-appointment process, for whatever you need, wedding suit or for, business and all that. What clients really like about our process is that once they're in our system, they're saved. So rather than kind of searching, going to the mall and trying to search something, they can just, potentially even text us ideas or come in or have their girlfriends or wives come in and pick things out for them. So yeah, we do a lot of weddings events. We do, some business casual wear and all of that. With business, it's all about persistence. I can't say that enough. We usually get 5 no's or 5 lacks of a response before we get a yes. And I'll give you a great example of this. One of the largest makers of fabric in terms of luxury is Loro Piana, right? I'm wearing a Loro Piana jacket now as far as the fabric goes. And when we first started the business, many of our clients were asking, hey, do you have Loro Piana fabric? Do you have Zegna fabric? And we didn't have that to offer. We had sort of the middle Italian tier fabrics. McGregor and I actually took a trip to Italy, and we physically went to the Loro Piana, the mill in Biella, and we're knocking on the door. We drove a little Fiat all the way there, and we're knocking on the door, and they're like, who are you guys? And then we came in, we said, we sent a bunch of emails. You guys clearly aren't responding. I wanted to show you some of our order history, and we need to create an account with you. And with that said, we actually became, 4 or 5 years ago, their largest cut length buyer for the United States. So it all started with a Fiat and knocking on their doors to now, being a serious purchaser of their fabric. So to your question, what does it take? It takes persistence. The great thing about custom suits is that, we've always been able to keep our overhead relatively low. We're usually on like a second floor retail. We're not on the first floor. The reason why is because we developed a good enough online presence where we're almost like we're by appointment only, essentially. So it's not your traditional. And what's great about that is that clients come in, they have, an expert like Jaime or like myself meet with them and like really go through the product without the distraction of the people coming in and out. With that said, Jaime and myself, we've worked, regular retail. So we're able to attract the experts within the industry because of this environment that we create. It's a culture of expertise. With that low overhead, we started in the custom suit game. That's kind of like the creme de la creme. We're kind of like the trickle down approach where we start with a great product and then we can move in. What does scare us is buying sort of larger quantities of things, because the last thing in retail business, you kind of can get killed by your overhead or get killed by, inventory. So, but now that we have a good enough following where we've really captured the wedding market, where we're selling to the grooms are actually asking us, hey, I have 8 groomsmen, where can I go? And so now we're creating this entire stock service line, which is more around that $500 to $600 price point, for more of a mass-made, ready-made suit for those guys. Right now, we're still in the beginning stages of this. It looks like China may not want to play ball. Fortunately for us, we actually moved our main production, out of China into India and into Italy during COVID. So it looks like India is going to play ball, so it won't affect us as much. It may affect some of our ancillary products like the hangers and the garment bags. But yeah, that's a major concern. And if you're manufacturing in China, you should be on it to explore other options. In China, they're all about saving face, right? And so it's kind of might be like 2 dogs barking at each other for a while. Meanwhile, you've got other countries like India and Vietnam who are going to try to capture some of that business. We sort of focus a little bit of expansion in Texas, and we're working on that now. And I was just in Chicago last week. We do have a brand new renovated showroom in Chicago, and many of our clients like to even have an excuse to go to Chicago. And then once they get fitted in the system, it's relatively straightforward for them to build out their wardrobe. It's only a 3-hour drive, and wait till the weather's nice, it won't be too bad. Hopefully one day, I am hoping to open a showroom maybe in the Carmel area. And that once we're solidified in Texas, I think the Midwest will be our next expansion.
Coming up, meet the team behind the new woman-owned, Italy-based Motorsports school coming to Indianapolis. Welcome again to Business Equity and Opportunities. In our industry focus, we focus on motorsports, specifically the new motorsports school based in Italy, but coming to Indianapolis.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities, Industry Focus.
My name is Rossella Manfrinato, and I got involved in the MTS, Motorsports Technical School, with Eugenia Capanna when I met her and heard the project and what she's trying to accomplish, or she has accomplished in Italy for a while with students and preparing them for a career in motorsport. She came over here actually at events in Indianapolis, and she saw students, alumni actually, former students that graduated from the school in the paddock. They were in IMSA paddock, SRO paddock, and she also has some in the IndyCar, and realized that you can probably do something over here, and to start a similar venture in this country, to bring the school and try to do instruct over here. Well, for me, I got a lot of passion for actually the sport, and I think that it's good to have people that are passionate, they're very knowledgeable, instructors that have a long wealth of experience in the racing, and I think that they can transmit that, bring the new people in, the young guys into the sport, and transmit also their passion to them that will keep them engaged. Now, we are actually covering the people behind the scenes, if we want to call them that. Although, you know, the racing, we always see the drivers, but there's a team behind it, and it's very much a team sport. It's not just the person that's driving the car that's winning or losing, and it's a team behind. So we are actually paying attention to people at work. So we are gonna have a course for racing mechanics and one for data engineer technician. And so they will be the people that will help the car go around and do well. Yeah, I think that both are still true. I think that there are families, and in Indianapolis, obviously there is a very good ingrained culture of motorsport, and so there are going to be families that are transmitting that to the young generation. But there's way of engaging nowadays also probably with esport, and I can see some of them looking and getting into motorsport kind of sideways and looking at cars that way, and then say, oh, but if I can be involved in real life, that's gonna be obviously something that they may want to do that's different from having necessarily the family or somebody else taking you to the track. We want to be a good place to start. We want to obviously we try to understand that having tried some hands-on, the school that we want to do is very much hands-on, practical, and given the ropes to go into the business and go to work for teams that being prepared. If they get an attitude, they try and they see that they want to do it. And like I said, it's not always easy and it's not always glamorous. There's a lot of work involved in it as well. So they have to have the attitude, a good attitude to want to be in it. And I think that's half of it to start, honestly, and then there's going to be mentoring and helping them.
Passion obviously has been driven by curiosity. I think this will be a very unique experience for the audience facing this kind of opportunity experience to learn how to become professional mechanics. I think will be great for all the racing community in general. Also, I would say not forgetting with the synergy of technology we have in racing that can surely serve industry like aerospace and defense. As Indianapolis, the racing capital of the world, obviously it's always been an attraction for teams, drivers, mechanics, for the Indy 500 and all the racing environment we have. There's a lot of demanding. There's a lot of demanding from teams, suppliers, vendors to have people with skills, always difficult to hire and to find. We have in place here at Dallara different programs to select people to be ready for motorsport. Maybe as a highest level, the mechanics, because many engineering, because we are an engineering service company, and this is what we are targeting and having. Obviously, repeating with the company like MTS, the same program at this high level for skilled mechanics obviously will be beneficial for the entire racing community. In Indianapolis, as a racing capital of the world, as well as in the other territory where racing is important for the economy, for industries, and for evolution of technology. So this will impact a lot for the community to have, we were going to have Purdue University here starting in the fall with the students. So there will be more than 100 students will come into Dallara to be part of this engineering course. And obviously this will be a great economic impact for the entire community in Speedway. I think it will be another occasion with the MTS school to establish this partnership and support of it. That will be impacted not only the racing community or the local racing community or the Speedway community, but again, the entire racing community and all over the country. I love challenges, and when I mean that, means to get into the new projects, help people to establish a business, to establish a networking, a contact could be a beneficial for Dallara and for everybody. Entering into new challenges there outside my ordinary style of life, professionally and personally. So this is, I think, is something that got me excited. In one field, two fields that we do outside racing is working with the aerospace and defense company and field. So that is bring me a lot to interface with other people, other entities, other subjects. So for me, this is a stimulus to improve, to learn my professional career, and obviously with MTS will be another. It will be another one of these challenges. Obviously, I recognize how successful they are in Monza, which is my own cities, by the way, before to move to Indianapolis. And I dedicated a lot of my time, I'm still doing, to help Eugenia and her project to be successful here, because I do believe it, she would be successful.
Coming up, meet a local woman who started doing nails for her teenage friends and now runs an academy helping more students find careers in beauty. That's our success story, and it's coming up next. Welcome back, Business Equity and Opportunities. Alejandra Canales Flores is the daughter of Honduran immigrants who earned her cosmetic license through the Pike High School cosmetology program. Now she has her own academy and is helping others find new careers.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities Success Story.
Hi, my name is Alejandra Flores. I'm 23 years old and I own AM Beauty Studio and Academy. So I grew up in the industry. My mom had a salon growing up. When I turned 15, my freshman year in high school, I took an interest in nails and I practiced so much and I got good at it, and I decided to enter the cosmetology program at my high school. I graduated from Pike High School in 2020 with my high school diploma and my cosmetology license. My entrepreneur light bulb went off when I was 12, working at my mom's hair salon. My mom always had coffee. She would always serve coffee and drinks at the shop, so I thought it would be a good idea to offer pastries. So I would sell pastries for $1, and if I would make 150 pastries, I would make $150. So I really enjoyed being able to be my own boss. And after COVID, after 2020, the nail industry grew a lot more. And I grew so much, particularly because I always threw away the reusable implements, so all of my files are brand new. I focus a lot on making sure that my implements are completely clean. So I guess I've just had it since I was a kid. I continued my education after I graduated in 2020. The cosmetology focused a lot more on the hair compared to nails. So I studied in Ecuador in 2022, and I've studied in other countries. Last year I studied in Mexico and Spain and Panama. So I could be able to offer a Spanish and English curriculum, particularly for the manicuring program. A big lesson I learned is that when you step into an entrepreneurship journey, it is very much a trial and error. I've learned more of the bookkeeping side of it and how to manage personnel and how to step into that leadership position to where you're the boss, you're in charge of everything, and how to take those things as you go and learn how to evolve and change as your business continues to grow and thrive. When I launched my academy, I launched it with the intention to provide the new generation of beauty professionals with things that I wasn't provided with, right? So financial literacy, finding a good banker, seeing what technique works for you and what technique doesn't. There's so many enhancements, not just in the nail sector, but the beauty sector, period. So teaching them to continue to grow in their education post-licensure. The schools here mainly focus on the students being able to pass their state exam, which is perfect, right? Because this is our profession, it's validated, it's a licensure. However, it is important that our education system and that our board who implements our rules and regulations is staying up to date with the new trends so the future of beauty professionals can continue to evolve, particularly in the state of Indiana. I would like to see that manicuring and aesthetics is more validated. It's not just cosmetology and barbering anymore. I've been able to grow my business just off doing nails. I traveled the world just off doing nails. So implementing a better focus on different sectors and how the beauty industry has evolved and the business aspect of it, because most of the beauty professionals do own their own suites or own their own businesses, and it can be very challenging when there's a lack of resources and when there is a lack of education in the financial and business running aspect of it. When I get up in the morning, one thing that definitely fills me with pride is that I studied abroad so much that essentially the curriculum that I developed was in Spanish, and getting new students and they're like, oh my God, I'm so glad I found you, because I haven't been able to find an educator who could teach me in Spanish or who could teach me a certain technique. I'm so grateful that I took initiative to go outside of the country and learn different techniques and be able to bring it back and offer it to the beauty industry here.
Special thanks to all the contributors who helped today's show, sharing their time and stories with us. You can watch us right here every week on WISH-TV or catch the live stream on WISH-TV.com. Plus, you can access all of our content and share it with anybody you'd like on demand anytime through BEOshow.com. Follow the QR code to get there quickly. We also welcome comments, questions, suggestions. Send us an email, BEO@WISH-TV.com. We're eager to hear what you have to say. Join us next week for Business Equity and Opportunities. Till then, I'm Scott Sander. Have a great day.
Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Made possible by Fifth Third Bank, Indiana Black Expo, Gemco, Indy Biz Pass, Bose McKinney & Evans, Eskenazi Health, and Lilly, a medicine company.